Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joy, a passionate software engineer willing to solve problems regardless of tools and technologies. Today we are going to see a different topic than we usually see. It is coding presentations. If you had noticed my previous presentations, you can see that I am showing my slides from the browser. I can easily do just click here. The same presentation what you are seeing can be seen in the browser now itself. This is it. So somehow there is a web server running in my machine. You can see it is localhost 1322, and when we navigate to that page using the browser, we can see the presentation. Right now it is having only one page. Fun part of this presentation is we will be creating this presentation as part of the demo. There is no presentation content at this point. I am using Visual Studio Code for coding the presentations. At least one thing many developers now agree is an editor which they can use for coding, and that is Visual Studio Code. First thing we'll be setting up the environment. There is no separate slide for setting up the environment. Let me quickly show that. First we need to install Visual Studio Code. That is a free from Microsoft. It is open source as well. Then go to the extensions. You can see this extension VS Code Reveal is already installed. If you have not installed, you can easily install it. Once we install, we will get a button here, VS Code Reveal. All these presentations, I am using a technology called Reveal.js. The Reveal.js is a presentation framework in HTML. We will come to the Reveal.js features one by one when the session progresses. I am organizing this session as a demo-oriented session. First part we already saw. It is installation of Reveal.js extension into the VS Code. So once we have that set up, we can start coding our presentations. The file format we are using is Markdown. I hope many of us are familiar with Markdown. Markdown is a new format, real text-based format, which is getting popular among developers. Now other people also coming into the Markdown world. So to start as a presentation, there are some metadata which is secured by Reveal.js. Here it is. We are saying this is a theme. I selected beach. Theme options and transition options I just added because I don't want to Google around whenever I want to change. This mark equals true is not required. You can just remove it. I added that in order to test a different presentation technology. I need to test whether a file created using a different presentation technology can be repurposed when I use reveal.js. So that being said, that is about the metadata. When we save, it will change here. Let me do a small change. So instead of coding, I am changing programming presentations. We can see it is changing in the right side. So developing slides is very easy. We can do either a split screen, or if you have two monitors, we can make this more wider. Behind the scenes, what is happening is this markdown is converted into HTML, and that HTML is shown here. Originally, the Reveal.js started as an HTML framework. Then they added more support to Markdown syntax because Markdown is getting really popular among developers. Let me bring it back. Coding presentations. Let us start with the first property, theme. So now it is beach. Let me change this to league, League. So now you can see it is changing the presentation colors and all. I think they are changing the font as well. We put it back. This is the header. You can see the part 1 introduction. This slide I copy pasted from one of my ongoing session related to Hugo. That's why the title is saying 5 minutes Hugo. I just change it to coding presentations, and there is no separate parts. So this one we can avoid. Let me save. One point that comes to our mind is how the presentation framework is understanding the slides. The differentiation is done by these three hyphens. Three hyphens mean it is end of an slide. That's why you can see first one here. This is to differentiate the headers, and this is my first slide. First slide has only this much information. Before we further, let me add the next slide and explain what we will be covering in this video. So this is the end of one slide, and I am adding next marker, and here I am pasting my contents. So you can see the contents came. It depends upon the cursor. Wherever the cursor is, that slide will be displaying in the right side. So we'll just talk about what is coding presentation. I think now we may have understood what is coding presentations, and an introduction to Reveal.js. That's also I just touched what is the technology and how it evolved, and some idea about working with Reveal.js. Some option we already found. There is a theme, there is a slide separator, title, things like that. Then the presenting with Reveal.js. So when we think about a presentation technology like a PowerPoint, there are some presentation options as well. for example, the speaker notes and things like that. Then we will be discussing about pros and cons of these coding presentations, in particular the Reveal.js. Then we'll conclude with final thoughts. Let us see what is coding presentations, though we already discussed that one. So here you can see there are some problems. We need to have a new line before and after the three hyphens. So in simple words, we are writing the markdown. It can be markdown or it can be HTML, but better use the markdown, which is easy to understand and it's very concise. We don't need to have so many tags or so many metadata around the display features. The rendering software will show it as a presentation. When you say presentation, it will have some basic controls such as this arrow you can see. It will help us to navigate between different slides. Also, it supports speaker notes and other facilities of an presentation software. There are technologies available, different technologies. There are some paid and mostly they are free. This is one paid service, gitpitch.com. Anyway, we are not going to concentrate on that side. We'll be going to the free things, and this is a free one which is most popular, Reveal.js. If you want to compare the coding presentation technologies, I have written a post. Here it is in my blog. Coding presentation, that's the title. It's same title as the video session. Here I have compared different things. This is not a full list, but at least some items what I have tried. HackMD, Mark, Remark.js, Reveal.js, Swipe. Have a look at that if you want to compare different technologies in this space. Coming back to the presentation, let us create the next slide, introduction to the Reveal.js. Let me copy paste the slides I have already prepared and kept in a different window. As I told, Reveal.js is an HTML based presentation. Whatever we write, ultimately it has to be converted into HTML and it will render in the browser. They later added support for Markdown and it is open source, hosted in GitHub. In case we find any issues or if you want to improve the software, we can give pull request to this project. It has mobile view, code highlighting. If we want to embed some programming snippets, we can do that. And there is a hosted service available. So you can see in the left side, this is a site, slides.com. So if you go to slides.com, it is a full-fledged software similar to PowerPoint. We can do drag and drop. We don't need to worry about the markdown syntax and all. We will show that later. Also, we can host the presentation in GitHub Pages. GitHub Pages is a free hosting mechanism provided by GitHub. It supports only static pages. Here is fine. Here Reveal.js finally is a static website. We can host it there and it will give you an URL, something called your username.github.io, or even we can have our own custom domain and that can point to GitHub Pages. Let me show the hosted service available, slides.com. We can create an account. I'm logging out. This is a landing page. Here you can log in. We don't need to really remember the username password. Already we are remembering so many. So we can use the social media integrated authentication. So here I am trying to do login with Google. It will ask for the permission. Once we select, it will redirect back to the slides.com. And this is my profile in the slides.com. This is one presentation. Click this is renaming the presentation. Yeah, here it is edit deck. This is one slide. Here you can see I have added one hello. This one came by default when I created. So here if you want to change the text, we can change the text just like PowerPoint. It support embedding images, video, shapes, line, iframe, table, code, math. There are lot many things it is supporting. It's already allowing almost all the features what is available in Reveal.js. So we can add a new slide here. Let me add this one. So this is the second slide. Here we get the navigation option, this arrow. Also we can have collaborators. This doesn't support direct GitHub integration. Code of our presentation will be staying with slides.com. There are other presentation technologies, hosted ones, something like HackMD. This supports hosting the presentation code in our GitHub repo. In the meantime, we can edit the presentation using this interface, hackmd.io. This also support different kinds of social media login. We can link with GitHub so that we don't lose our contents. Later, if hackmd.io is not working or they decommission their website, still we have our data in the GitHub and we can use the standard Reveal.js which is available in the VS Code in a local machine. That's a brief introduction about Reveal.js. There are many other features. Some features we will be covering in this session. Others you can explore yourself. We are going to see one more feature of Reveal.js, which is nothing but an vertical slide. So this is the introduction about Reveal.js. I am going to separate the hosting part from the introduction side. Just putting two hyphens. Now you can see from the code highlighting, it is separating as a separate slide, but that slide is below the introduction slide. So the related topics, or a topic has multiple slides, means topic can be navigated using the right arrow, then the subtopics can be navigated by the down arrow or up arrow. This is one interesting feature I have seen in Reveal.js. I just copy pasted the next slide, working with Reveal. Okay, let me change it to Reveal.js. That's the right word. Here we are going to see what are the features and how to work with Reveal.js to create a presentation. Here you can see one problem already. I have these many points, and if you look at the right side preview, it ends with supports custom coder plugins. It is line number 73. But what happened to the JavaScript and other things, what is below that? So this is one problem. Note down, this is a disadvantage, or this may be a problem with the theming. Let me split this slide. So here I separated it. The first area is already covered. We discussed about the editors. We saw how to set up the Visual Studio Code for editing the Reveal.js presentation. And there is already an online hosted editor called slides.com. Any editor can work. Doesn't need to be this Visual Studio Code editor. It can be Notepad. You host under a web server, then it will work as a slide. This is one main point, conventions. If you put three hyphens, that means it is a slide separation and you have to navigate using the right arrow. And if it is two hyphens, it is navigatable using the up or down arrows. Now coming to the features, we are not going to look at each and every feature. This is just a list of features, and we can look at some features, how we can work with that. So let me start with the fragmented view. So you are seeing, right, line number 78, where I have added example fragment view and special notation is a curly brace dot fragment. So this is telling the slide system that this is an fragmented area. Dot fragment is an ultimately CSS style. In Markdown, we are telling this is the style of this element show as a fragment. The effect you are seeing on the right side, that is missing. Below that HTML only, we are expecting example fragmented view, but it's not there. So just click here, you can see it is coming. This is similar as in PowerPoint. In PowerPoint also we can do this kind of things very easily. Here just add this fragment style name inside the curly brace. Let me correct the notes what I have copy pasted, changing these points. So there are some features which are HTML only, but this fragment, initially I thought it is HTML only, but later I found that it can be done with Markdown as well. So I'm just correcting that. Now let us go to the speaker notes. For speaker notes, we need to add something like this, what we are seeing here, aside class notes, and I can add some content inside. Just formatting. Okay, there is no formatter for Markdown. Okay, that's fine. I'm formatting manually. So now I added the speaker notes. Let us see how the speaker notes can be used. It will not be shown here in the right side. So I'm going to open the HTML view from the server. This is a server started by the plugin, and it is serving the site. So I am pressing S button in the keyboard. So when I press the S button in the keyboard, a new window comes, as you are seeing. If we have two monitors, we can put the main slide in one monitor, or we can project that into the meeting, and this page we can keep in our private monitor. Here you are seeing the speaker notes. Also this has upcoming slide, the timers. So this will help us to understand how much we have covered and what is our current time, things like that. This feature is already available in PowerPoint, so we are not losing that feature when we migrate to Reveal.js. Now closing the speaker notes. As I mentioned in my speaker notes, I am not going to cover all the features line by line. So at least we covered the speaker notes and the fragmented view. You can do your research on linking slides and writing custom JavaScript code. Now let us see some features available when we presenting using Reveal.js. So I am copy pasting from my reference notes and creating as a slide here. So starting with zoom in and zoom out, alt click as mentioned in the slide. So I am opening my presentation, fragmented view, alt click will zoom in this area. This is useful. Alt click again, zoom out the slide back to the original position. Now it's saved, the icon has gone. Now coming back to the slide, which is served from the server, it will not be automatically refreshed. We have to refresh ourselves. So we can see this new slide I have added here, and press dot to hide the slide. So if you are presenting and we want to hide the presentation, just press dot, then the contents will be invisible. This feature can be used when we want to avoid the presentation and explain the details to the audience. Again, press on the dot button, it will be coming back. Touch friendly, I don't have a touchscreen, otherwise I should have shown that. Speaker notes will show on pressing S, as we already covered. Timer feature to keep the track of the time, which already we have seen. There is one technique I can try by using the F12 tools. In F12 tools, the touchscreen can be simulated. So here is a button in the top left of F12 tools. So this is changing the view to look like a mobile browser. So here we can see how it is shown in this resolution 400 by 818. You can change into different types and it will look like how it will be displayed in different devices. So let me try the iPad view, and here you can see the mouse changed into simulate the pointer or our finger, and click here, then we can see that it is automatically arranging based on the mobile view. Let us go back to the original presentation. Now we'll be looking at the advantages and the disadvantages. Let me copy paste the slides. So here we are going to arrange a vertical slide. So we'll be seeing only the advantages here. Big advantage is it is a textual representation and we can easily keep in the source control repository. Whether it is a TFS repository or a Git repository, this text can be inside there and we can easily understand who changed what. We can do a file comparison similar to a normal program. If it is in PowerPoint, they are following a binary format now, which is PPTX and a zip file, lot of files inside. And if you compare that PPTX, we don't get anything, who changed what and things like that. Let me show that how we can do the comparison. So this is already part of an source control. Here you can see the source control and click on this guy. Then it will be showing what I have changed between two versions. This is the existing version in the source control. I added the speaker notes and some more sections. This is really helpful when we are collaborating with different people on creating a slide. Going back to the original view, this is the main advantage what I have felt, and there are so many other advantages like we don't need to have any office license. Also, we can do better styling. We can have an base template kind of thing for our company and everybody can easily follow that, similar to how we are doing in PowerPoint. By the time when you try this one, you will find more advantages or more disadvantages. Let us see what I have felt as disadvantages. So it is still not generally accepted. So when you prepare this slide and go to a conference, they may not be accepting this one, or your school or college or your company may not accept this kind of format because they are not familiar. It is not they cannot do. There can be some guidelines or some process you have to follow there. So due to that, they may not be accepting your presentation there. One other thing I have noticed is overlay. In PowerPoint, we can easily do the overlay, text over image, things like that. But in Markdown, it is little difficult. If you want to have this kind of very flexible thing, you have to go to HTML. Another problem what we only seen in this presentation is cropping of contents. So if there are a lot of contents in a vertical slide, it will be cropped. It will not be automatically adjusted. Maybe it is a problem with this theme. I am using beach theme. If I use a different theme, it may be different. I don't know that. From my view, it is a disadvantage. I think you got a better idea about this mechanism. A PowerPoint-less world will be very difficult. I don't think that will happen in the near future. It will take a lot of time to get to replace a PowerPoint or any other keynote or presentation technologies. It is easy for developers to adopt. They can host in GitHub or somewhere and they can present from that internet URL. But for a normal person, it will be difficult. They may not be having that knowledge to publish into a website or somewhere and display that. As I demonstrated, there are some services like HackMD and Slides.com that can be used by the normal users other than developers. But still, it will take some time to get wide adoption. And these are the original author slides. You can go there. He has explained like a feature by feature. The slides what I have created will be available in my GitHub repository. Mostly the slides will be ending up this repository, blog files, and this would be the path mostly, again based on the time I am getting to edit this video and publishing date. I'll be posting the final path in the video description itself. Finally, I would like to thank the author of this technology, Reveal.js, Hakimel, for making this open source and a great product. In case of any queries or questions about this presentation, you can add into the comment box. Also, if you like this kind of videos and new things, please subscribe and enable the bell button. You will get the notification immediately. So thanks for watching the video. Bye.